the United States of America, without congressional approval, which is constitutionally mandated, engaged in an act of war against Iran. Here it is.
These actions are right and they are necessary to ensure that Americans will never have to face a radical, bloodthirsty terrorist regime armed with nuclear weapons and lots of threats.
Iran was building powerful missiles and drones to create a conventional shield for their nuclear blackmail ambitions.
3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action. As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations.
Turns out the regime who chanted death to America and death to Israel was gifted death from America and death from Israel. This is not a so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change, and the world is better off for it.
It's an illegal war. American troops are dead. According to the current president of the United States, more will die, and I quote, "That's just the way it is," end quote. Trump said he would not get America into wars. He would take them out. As a matter of fact, many conservatives who still believe Trump has something redeemable about him would proclaim his anti-war doctrine in his campaign. But that has been contrary to the administration's point of view and Trump's, actions. Put it up for a mass. Early morning, Saturday, Trump initiated a regime change operation regardless of the branding, called Operation Epic Fury, in conjunction with Israel, killing the supreme leader of Iran, as well as many civilians. Trump once again did so without the approval of Congress, which is constitutionally required, as I said earlier. On Saturday morning, the United States and Israel carried out intensive airstrikes against Iran, killing the supreme leader who had ruled the Islamic Republic since 1989. According to the human rights activist news agency, the attacks killed, at minimum, at least 333 civilians across 18 provinces in Iran, in at least 59 incidents. In response, Iran launched a barrage of missile and drone attacks at U.S. and Israeli targets, both military and civilian, across the region. Among the 180 of those killed were children. After Israel, the U.S. struck a girls' elementary school in Iran on Saturday morning. Teen girls attending their sports training were also bombed by Israel. This accounts for at least 20 civilian deaths. Israel then struck a hospital, forcing patients and newborns to be evacuated. American casualties during Iran's retaliation bombing. 4 U.S. troops were killed. 5 others seriously wounded. Amid ongoing hostilities with Iran, officials said, first known American casualties in a military campaign that has quickly heightened concerns about the Pentagon's ability to protect its personnel. I'm going to get into more details, obviously. Why are we here? What do we have to do with this? Nothing. Not a damn thing. Zero. As a matter of fact, Trump said this during the presidency of Obama. Why are we here? What are we doing meddling in the affairs of Iran? A couple of years ago, when lecturing in Egypt, one of our stops on the tour was Iran. The Iranian government, the Iranian culture is built around one premise: possible attack. So everything about the country is built to protect the nation. Every corner, you have a military-like police force. The bus that we were on was subject to random checks by the military or by the military police. And it was explained to us that everything they do is built around the safety of Iran because of their proxy to Israel and the conflict of that nation. Here's the reality. Netanyahu has been saying since the 80s to bomb Iran. He's tried to make every United States president do so, and this is the first one he was able to get to pull the trigger, no pun intended. But why now? Why this war? We got more. So why is the U.S. dragged into another war where here's the best they can do?
Where, can you just tell me really quickly, where have they killed thousands of Americans in America?
I didn't say they killed thousands of Americans in America. I said that they have been responsible for thousands of Americans being killed. And I think that that's easily something that you can verify. I don't know, state-sponsored terrorism for starters. Why don't you, are you serious right now about that whole thing? I'm not going to list out exact specific locations. They've literally been responsible for sponsored terrorism.
Are you talking about the Iraq war where the U.S. invaded Iraq?
You can start out by the three that they just killed. Okay, the whole point of your network, if you want to actually talk about the facts here, I'm giving you the facts. But I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about something that's commonly accepted and known.
Congresswoman, you don't have a good understanding of the conflict.
Well, I'm the one that's getting the briefings, not you. You're a pundit offering your opinion because you want clickbait, but are actually interested in the substance.
No, he's offering a question. You offered a lie. He gave you the opportunity to clarify your lie by offering a question. And because you're so accustomed to talking points, and you have become so desensitized to the reality of war, which equates to people dying, mainly civilians, you can't answer it because you chose not to even research it. You don't care about the truth. You're indoctrinated to a lie, and you're the worst kind of leader. Because even when presented with the truth, it wouldn't change your mind anyway. Luna tried to make a horrible case to justify this war too. She says that Iran has killed thousands of Americans. That was BS. Military officials say this war is completely against the law. Put it up. Quote, not only does this violate international law in numerous respects, it clearly violates the U.S. Constitution and War Powers Resolution, said retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Rachel Van Landingham, who previously served as Chief of International Law at U.S. Central Command. The United Nations Charter generally restricts the use of force to cases of self-defense or with approval from the UN Security Council. The Constitution separately gives Congress the power to authorize offensive war. And can I remind you that this man, the current president of the United States of America, has dragged us into a war where the war partner of America is a man who is known and wanted as a war criminal from the United Nations. That's our partner, that's our ally in the war. A war criminal with an active warrant for his arrest. The War Powers Resolution. Let's talk about it. It also requires presidents to notify Congress within 48 hours of introducing U.S. forces into hostilities and limits how long those forces can operate without congressional approval. Secretary of State Marco Rubio briefed members of Congress's bipartisan Gang of Eight in calls Friday night ahead of the strikes, according to administration officials and news reports. The Pentagon contradicts the White House's statements. Senior administration officials had told reporters Saturday that the U.S. chose to attack Iran after receiving indications the regime was planning to launch missile attacks against U.S. bases and create a mass casualty situation. CNN, which first reported the contradiction, said sources indicated there was no such intelligence to support that claim. It's called a damn lie. It's called a lie. Let's move on. The administration lies. All right? Pentagon briefers pointed to Iran's ballistic missile program and proxy forces as evidence of a broader threat to U.S. forces, but sources who attended the briefing noted that that posture has existed for years and did not support the administration's argument that a preemptive American strike was necessary. How many times has Iran preemptively engaged in military strikes? 0. Not one time. You have a nation in Israel, and please understand, when I talk about Israel, I'm talking about the Israeli government. You have a nation of Israel, 9 million strong. You have a nation of Iran, 92+ million individuals. Inside the Pentagon, and among some members of the Trump administration, there was deep concern Sunday that Iran conflict could spiral out of control, said people familiar with the situation. Quote, the mood here is intense and paranoid, one person said. Quote, there is concern about this lasting more than a few days. You don't say. Said another person, quote, I don't think people have fully absorbed yet, like what that has done with stockpiles. They added, noting that it often takes 2 or 3 air defense interceptors to ensure that an incoming missile is stopped. Lindsey Graham erupted on NBC when asked what Trump's plan is now that they've assassinated the supreme leader. Here it is.
Moving forward, in a social media post Sunday, President Trump wrote this, quote, hopefully the IRGC and police will peacefully merge with the Iranian patriots and work together as a unit to bring back the country to the greatness it deserves. Is hope the plan for the future of Iran?
No, the future of Iran is going to be determined by the Iranian people. Our goal is to make sure it cannot become, again, the largest state sponsor of terrorism. That's a win for us.
But is there a plan to make sure that happens, Senator? Is there a plan? Does the president have a plan to guarantee that that happens?
No, it's not his job or my job to do this. How many times do I have to tell you? Our job is to make sure Iran is no longer the largest state sponsor of terrorism, to help the people reconstruct a new government, no boots on the ground. We don't own, this idea you break it, you own it. I don't buy that one bit. It's in America's interest to make sure the Ayatollah is dead.
Dumbasses. Here's why.
The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake. So we should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East. We've spent $8 trillion in the Middle East, and we're not fixing our roads in this country. How stupid is it?
Yeah. But America's interest is sometimes going to be distinct. Like sometimes we're going to have overlapping interests and sometimes we're going to have distinct interests. And our interest, I think, very much is in not going to war with Iran, right? It would be a huge distraction of resources. It would be massively expensive to our country.
We've got to stop Donald Trump from starting a war with Iran. I'm asking you to join me and support my legislation, the No More Presidential Wars Act.
Donald Trump agreed with it. No intervention from the United States government, he said. He was non-interventionist, okay? All of a sudden, everybody, including the cronies that work for him, changed their tune. What has happened? Is it being blackmailed because of the Epstein files? That is one rumor that has spread on social media. Is it because Israel, the government, has something on him or maybe he's just a war-hungry billionaire. It really doesn't matter. His reasoning doesn't matter because no matter what the reason is, it is unreasonable to the objective human being. Cause and effect. So here we are. Cause and effect. Benjamin Netanyahu has been making this case for many decades. And I want to remind everyone, the reason why these individuals are dumbasses, in my opinion, and I do not utilize that word lightly, is because if Lindsey Graham can get on national television and say, well, their job is to make sure Iran doesn't become the largest state sponsor for terrorism. And then they kill civilians and children and their leader. Even those who disagree in Iran with their leader, they don't want American troops to come in and assassinate him. No more than we would want someone to come in from another nation and assassinate our political leaders that we may have disagreement with. What you have done is you have effectively taken the emerging leaders of the Iranian population, and they are there. The young leaders who say, why do we have issues with the West? Because they don't remember conflict with the West, because in their generation, no conflict has happened like this. Why do you have conflict with the West? They would ask the elders of Iran. Now, they have conflict with the West. So if you are trying to make this about lessening the sentiment of anti-American ideology in Iran, you have done the exact opposite. So don't sell people their bill of goods. Netanyahu has been saying this for decades about Iran having nuclear weapons. Here it is.
You've probably heard this line before.
Iran has never given up its quest for nuclear weapons and the missiles to deliver them.
That's because Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been saying this for more than 30 years, claiming Iran is close to having
nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons. Atomic bombs.
In 1992, as a member of parliament, Netanyahu addresses the Knesset. He says, within 3 to 5 years, we can assume that Iran will become autonomous in its ability to develop and produce a nuclear bomb. 3 years later, in his book, Fighting Terrorism, he repeats the same time frame, 3 to 5 years.
They're online.
It's 2012, and Netanyahu is holding up his infamous cartoon bomb at the UN General Assembly.
By next spring, at most by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished.
All lies. All lies. As a matter of fact, Trump told us recently he totally dismantled the nuclear capabilities of Iran. Totally dismantled them. He said obliterated was his word. If their nuclear capability has been obliterated a few months ago, but today they are about to have the capability to launch a nuclear attack over a few months from your obliteration, what has happened within the time frame? Trump was off message. That's what happened. This was never about nuclear weapons. As a matter of fact, from Iraq to Iran, these places weren't attacked because they have nuclear weapons. They were attacked because they don't. The countries that have them have not been attacked, such as Israel. Yeah, they have nuclear weapons. No issue there. What about Kim Jong-un and Trump saying that he got that under control? All of a sudden, a new report comes out. They're ready to go themselves. Nobody attacked them. Reminder of where U.S. politicians' allegiance lies. Here it is.
Israel today, Israel tomorrow, Israel forever. God bless you.
America will always stand with Israel. I came into Congress 13 years ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate. And I've worked every day to do that.
There is no Palestinian state, no matter how many papers they put out.
It is up to Israel, and we should support our allies wherever they are when they're fighting the bad guys.
Israel is our greatest ally.
If this capital crumbled to the ground, the one thing that would remain is our commitment to our aid. I don't even call it aid, our cooperation with Israel.
So to our allies in Israel and to the Jewish people around the world, my message to you is this: reinforcements are on the way.
And he loves Israel too.
It's one of the most important things I do, to watch, be the guardian of Israel.
Should Israel be expected to even pay one penny to rebuild Gaza at this point?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'll tell you, if anything, there ought to be reparations to Israel for the extraordinary fight that they have had to conduct.
It's shameful, isn't it? Completely shameful. You know, for those who believe that Israel needs to be protected due to their faith background, I want to remind you that the Israel in Scripture is not the same Israeli government currently killing people. These are very different entities and very different in application of their religious and philosophical beliefs. So understand the difference here. If you believe that as your faith context, that they are the chosen people, if you believe that in your faith context, understand the operating word is people. And the last time I checked, the vast majority of Israelis, the people, are antithetical to the leadership of Netanyahu and these military attacks. So understand your context as well for those who believe that religion somehow gets you to be desensitized to the reality of killing, because it doesn't. You should know better. All right. Senator, thoughts here.
I mean, Doc, you laid it out. A lot of people hopefully are taking this in and will take this information and be more analytical on how they look at this. You know, those politicians that you just laid out, enumerated there, whose allegiance, I mean, just think about this. We, the taxpayers of the United States of America, are paying these people to pledge allegiance to a foreign nation over the Americans who live in the United States of America. What other country in the world are other people's politicians paid and state it very clearly without equivocation that their major job, their top concern, or even in their top three concern, is a foreign nation? It is absolutely insane, Doc. And I wrote down the law and order president. The law and order president is breaking the Constitution of the United States of America, breaking UN rules, breaking the war power rules. I thought he ran on law and order, and he waxed poetic about how other states and others in these states were not following the law or order. He was going to restore law and order. And then the clips you played, fantastic. I have a tweet that I put out. President Donald J. Trump, 2012, wasn't president, but he said, don't let Obama play the Iran card in order to start a war, in order to get elected. Be careful, Republicans. So just to compliment every other thing that you played that this man said then, what has changed? I would hope that the American people will wake up and that they do not make this about who's a Democrat, who's a Republican. This is about who is on the righteous side and who is not. Attacking another sovereign nation, killing another sovereign nation's leader. We can hold more than one thing up and be true at the same time. While it is true that the government of Iran is brutal, it is also true that the United States of America had no right to do what they just did. And yes, you are going to have Iranians have different opinions about what just happened. That still does not make it right what the United States just did. Doc, some people, are supportive of this, just like us in this country. We have difference of opinion. And some people are not supportive of this. But to kill innocent children, to kill any innocent people and think that we're okay, and to say to the American people whose sons and daughters are going to be sacrificed here, well, that's just basically just said, y'all collateral damage. That's just the way it goes. We're going to do this thing because I said we're going to do this thing. And oh, well, if you lose some people, that's the price of admission. And then my last, so many points I can make. I was writing down so many notes. Stunningly immoral, illegal, and shameful. Why do we get to decide which governments on the face of the earth get nuclear weapons? I mean, I wish that we would just stop with nuclear weapons all along, but why do we get to decide who has them and who does not? What makes us the moral consciousness? In fact, the last time I checked, I don't know, you tell me, I might be missing something, but historically, the only country so far to drop a nuclear bomb on another nation has been the United States of America. So imagine if other powers around the world got together and said, you know what, that USA, they shouldn't have weapons because they're the only one to drop a nuclear weapon on another country. That we are going to pay for this today, tomorrow, and into the future. Our children's children are going to pay for this. And not that it's right for any innocent to be killed or murdered because of what leadership is doing. But we know that has already happened and it is going to continue to happen. Science teaches us that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. We didn't say the reaction was right, but those folks are being put upon. And so we're going to sit here on our high horse. When I say we, our country, the leaders that we don't agree with, you and I don't agree with, have the pure unmitigated gall to think that these folks are not going to retaliate and that innocent people are not going to get hurt and killed. Again, Doc, stunningly immoral, stunningly shameful, and stunningly illegal.
Amen to that. And Senator, they launched the attack without the ability to protect American troops where it was guaranteed retaliation was coming. They had nothing to protect those American troops, which leads me to believe that whatever military intelligence they have is likely incorrect about Iran because they never expected an Iranian missile or missiles to penetrate their anti-missile defense system. And it did on the first try. All right. We'll bring updates as they pop.